Kyle, Texas has grown by more than 50% since 2020. That is not a typo. It is one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country. And today I'm going to tell you why everyone is moving here and the honest reason some people shouldn't. Hi, I'm Brandon Holley with Holley Homes Realty right here in South Austin. And if you are relocating to the Austin area, you want the most home for your money, and Kyle keeps landing on your list, this video is for you. I close homes in Kyle all the time, so I'm going to walk you through the real numbers and the real lifestyle, so by the end you can decide if Kyle is actually your town or not. In this video, we are going to cover three things. First, the growth story and the real 2026 numbers, what a home actually costs in Kyle right now. Second, what you actually get for that money, the communities, the amenities, and the three things new Kyle residents keep telling me. Third, my honest take on who Kyle is perfect for, who should look somewhere else, and the trade-off you need to plan around. And I will give you the honest answers most agents skip, which is the one thing about Kyle's growth that can frustrate you if nobody warns you first. Let me start with the growth because the numbers are genuinely pretty wild. Kyle sits right on I-35, about 30 minutes south of downtown Austin and roughly halfway to San Antonio in what people are now calling the Texas Innovation Corridor. It has grown more than 50% since 2020. It is pushing 75,000 residents and it is still growing around 7% a year. That is one of the fastest growth rates of any city in the country. Now the housing, as of my spring 2026 market pool, the median sold price is $308,000. That is the lowest of any of the major suburbs south of Austin, and it is a big part of the draw. Homes are taking around 70 days to sell, and the market has cooled from its peak, which actually means you have more negotiating room as a buyer than you did a few years ago. If you are planning a move to Central Texas, hit subscribe because every week I break down a ton of numbers that actually affect your decision with no sales pitch. So what does that money actually get you? This is where Kyle is different from almost everywhere else around Austin. Kyle has master plan communities at basically every price point, which is pretty rare. On the affordable end, builders like D.R. Horton at South Grove and Braun at Caseta Ranch are putting up entire communities at prices the rest of the metro cannot touch. In the middle, you have family anchor communities like Anthem, and on the luxury end, Six Creeks with Perry Homes offers a true resort style amenity package. And Toll Brothers is set to open Clara Vista at Water Ridge in 2026 with homes starting in the mid 700s. That is the Kyle story in one sentence. Whether your budget is in the low 300s or in the high 700s, there is a master plan community built here for you. You don't get that range in many other places. Now I talk to people who just moved here all the time, and I hear the same three things over and over and over again. The first is the space. People come from a cramped apartment or a tiny lot in a more expensive area, and a Kyle yard feels like a luxury. The second is the amenities. The pools, the trails, and the amenity center in these master plan communities are genuinely nice, and they come at a price point that surprises most people. And the third is the sense that the town is growing up around them. You have new restaurants, new retail, and new everything are showing up while they live here. People like feeling early to something instead of being late. And that third one is really the heart of it. Kyle gets something right that part of Austin forget, which is room to actually build the homes, the communities, and the amenities that families want at a price point families can reach. Quick question, drop it in the comments. If you are looking at Kyle, are you commuting to Austin, to San Antonio, or working from home? It changes my advice a lot. Location is a big part of why Kyle works. You're about 30 minutes south of downtown Austin, and you are one of the closest suburbs to a reasonable San Antonio commute, which opens up jobs in both directions. Retail and national restaurant chains are moving in along the corridor, so you are getting more of what you need without having to actually drive to Austin. For a lot of my Kyle buyers, that is the moment that unlocks it. I recently helped a first-time buyer relocate from the Dallas area. They wanted more space, more options, and a home they could actually afford without giving up the convenience they were used to. Kyle checked a lot of those boxes. They actually ended up building a brand new home from the ground up and ended up with more house, more yard, and more breathing room than they thought possible. That's who Kyle tends to work best for, people who want value, space, and a little slower pace of life while still having access to the shopping, restaurants, and everyday conveniences they're accustomed to. So here's how I would actually think about it, whether Kyle is the right town for you or not. If you want the most home for your money, near Austin, Kyle is hard to beat. The median is the lowest of the south suburbs, and the range of new construction is definitely unmatched. If you commute to San Antonio or split time between Austin and San Antonio, Kyle's location is the best of the bunch. And if you want master planned amenities, the pools, trails, and parks, but you do not want a luxury price tag, Kyle gives you that entry point as well. But if you do need to be in downtown Austin every day and you have zero tolerance for traffic, you should probably look closer in at Buda or possibly South Austin and pay a little more to shorten that drive. And one specific thing to do no matter what is a lot of Kyle's new construction sits in muds or PIDs. So always check the full tax rate on the specific home before you fall in love with the floor plan. I have a whole video on exactly how to do that, and I will point you to it in the description below. Now, I want to be honest about the trade-offs because Kyle's biggest strength and its biggest frustrations are both the same thing, and it's growth. The infrastructure has not fully caught up, so a lot of those roads are still 2 lanes, and at peak hours, you will feel it. The city is widening roads and building out, but you are going to live through some of that construction in the meantime. If you have lived somewhere with mature, finished infrastructure, Kyle will feel like it is still under construction, and that's because it definitely is. The other honest thing is the market. Kyle's median actually dipped over the last year as all this new inventory came online. So if you're buying, that is good news because you have more negotiating room. But if you're expecting instant appreciation on the day you close, temper those expectations. This is a long-term play on a town that is still growing into itself. None of that is a deal breaker. It is just the truth, and I would rather you hear it from me than be surprised in your 3rd month sitting in traffic. If this honest take is helping, a quick like tells YouTube to show it to more people deciding on the same move. So if Kyle sounds like it might be the right town for you and you want to talk through the right community or your budget or commute, I put together a free Central Texas relocation guide that breaks down Kyle alongside Buda, Bastrop, and South Austin, including the tax math. It is going to be linked below in the description. And I understand now may not be the right time, and I never want to be pushy. Just know that I am here if you have questions, would like to start planning, or need anything. Links below to the guide, relocation, or if you're relocating from out of state, I have been hitting a few different places like California or Seattle, Washington. Next week, we are tackling Chicago, so stay tuned for that. And again, if you need that tax math, check out this video right here.